Hello again, I'm Stephen Jerome. Welcome again to my garden. I'm going to continue reading from the London Year. This is part 95. After our collective brush with world-class terrorism, Harrods immediately began mending its wounds, repairing the damaged showroom, and getting back to the business of keeping a stiff upper lip. Tess came in one quiet afternoon shopping the adjacent grocery department for a new teapot. The one we used at her place was chipped and stained. It was time for an upgrade. She chose one and brought it to my cash register. I rang it up with the usual friends discount. Then suddenly, in a blur of commotion, 3 people from security pounced. The teapot and cash register receipt were yanked from our hands. Then we were both hustled across the floor like shoplifters nabbed in the act, which we kind of were. I knew all the plain-clothes security people on site, but I hadn't seen them hovering, professionals in the art of hiding in plain sight. It all happened so quickly, so out of nowhere, we were both taken completely by surprise, busted without a doubt. I looked over at Tess, who was doing all she could not to burst into tears. After that, I kept my eyes front, allowing myself to be led past shoppers who probably didn't know what they were seeing, but my fellow employees most certainly did. I'd never been so embarrassed, all the worse involving Tess in the security team's little perp walk show of power. We were led down to a maze of narrow corridors I didn't even know existed, into the office of a man I'd never met. He was head of store security employees division, he said. The teapot and receipt were already on his desk. He asked if we were connected in any way, and I replied overdramatically that Tess and I were lovers. He chuckled, making a note on the form in front of him. "So she's your girlfriend?" "Yes," I replied, deflated. He looked at Tess. She nodded, already beginning to gather herself. "How long you worked at Harrods?" he asked me. "Almost a year," I said. This actually seemed to sit well. I wasn't some new hire whose sole purpose was to rob the place blind. I had no idea what kind of hardened types he normally dealt with, but we must have seemed particularly unlikely. He looked at the selling price of the teapot, not much compared to, say, a watch or some jewelry. Then the 40% below market I'd rung up. After a few more questions, a verdict was rendered. "Let's just say you pushed the wrong button, shall we?" And then he completed his report. "Of course, if this happens again, you'll be out of a job, quite likely reported. Consider this a caution to both of you." And that, most fortunately, was all there was to it. Yes, we were co-conspirators, but the blame was officially all mine. Now it was just a matter of returning to my department and toughing out the sidelong glances and a final word from Mr. Taylor. That was pretty stupid. At least I still had a job. Tess and I never spoke of that day again either. Okay, I'll stop there, quick and busy. We'll continue with part 96 tomorrow. Thank you very much for following along. Bye.